Ladies and gentlemen, never in my life did I think that I would be starting a post-fight show with a quote from Jamal Hill. But here we are in the year of our Lord 2025. A bitter end to an epic card. I don't know if epic might be a little bit too far of a stretch, but it was a very fun card, and unfortunately it ends in a little bit of controversy, a little bit of weirdness, and it just left us feeling a little bit empty inside. But the victory horns do sound for Song Yadong. He picks up the biggest win of his career, at least on paper, against the former two-division champion Henry Cejudo, but certainly not the way he would have liked it, and certainly not the way the fans wanted to end the night in Seattle. And what a crowd it was. As we welcome you to the post-fight show, thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck, and joining me, Mr. No Gray Area himself, Jed Mishu. Jed, how are you?
I was a lot better prior to the last 45 minutes.
Right?
That ending was about as infuriating as possible, and wish we that was shaping up to be a really nice card, and in the end, it still is. Right, a lot of finishes, certainly early, the first 7 bouts or whatever went to finish. A couple of decisions, only one of those was awful. The rest of them were at least fun, competitive. Maybe some scoring controversies, or at least things to talk about, not necessarily controversial. And then the main event just ends the night. And if you have a 5-star incredible meal and then you end the night with the shittiest possible dessert, they make a huge mistake in the kitchen, and somehow instead of giving you chocolate ganache, they serve you dog poop and you eat it. That is what this evening was. Doesn't matter that the steak and the baked potato and the soup and the salad and everything else was good. I ended my night absolutely infuriated, and so UFC at Seattle as a whole goes down pretty bitter.
Yeah, so all of this is just very strange, because let's just talk about the fight, and just to let the people who are watching live know, and people who are listening after the fact, this is not going to be a long post-fight show. It just can't be today. There's just things that need to be done on the website. So we're going to talk about this, obviously, because it's a very big topic. We're going to take some questions, and we're going to get the hell out of here. That's just kind of how this is going to roll. But if you missed it, Song Yadong wins a technical decision against Henry Cejudo. 2 of the judges scored it 29-28. One judge scored it the way I scored it and the way most people scored it, 30-27 for Song Yadong. There is a pretty nasty eye poke in the third round. There was a low blow in the third round. They showed the replay. It was not a ding-ding kick. It was more to the hip. So, whatever. Then the eye poke happens, and it's basically a double eye poke. This is a pretty nasty eye poke from Song Yadong to Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo does what no other fighter I have seen over the last several years has done. He used every second of the 5 minutes he is allotted to recover. And in the end, he says, I am ready to continue. I'm going to keep on fighting. And the fight continues on. Song is dinging him up like he did pretty much the entirety of that round before the eye poke. And round 3 ends. Cejudo goes to the corner. He is telling his team, as the camera is on him, I cannot effing see. I don't know what to tell you. And then he tells the doctor, I can't see. Jason Herzog comes over and says, look, we're going to start the round, and then I'm going to wave the fight off, and we're going to go to the scorecards. And that's how we got to the technical decision. We barely got into the 4th round and into the 5th, and Song wins, and Song reacts, feels like he let people down. He wants to run it back with Henry Cejudo. Cejudo's like, sure, I'll do the same. Jed, infuriating is the word you used. Why is this so infuriating? Because I'm feeling myself getting infuriated as I go through all of this because of how fucking stupid the rule set is in this sport. Excuse me. I'm that mad right now as I'm talking myself into this. But why are you so infuriated by what happened tonight in this main event?
Literally all of it, Mike. Like every facet of it. The rules are dumb. The rules are dumb and ambiguous. It's not entirely clear that Jason Herzog actually even followed the rules. I pulled up the rules. We can go through that. There's a really strong argument that Jason Herzog just made up some rules while he was in there. He tried to make up rules like outwardly by being like, I got to start the fourth round. You do not. That that has never been a requirement for the fight. You say, oh, the fight ends at the conclusion of the third round in the same way any other fighter who cannot compete get like. So he was trying to make up some rules. He may have, in fact, made up some rules on how this fight ended. And oh, by the way, just didn't take a point. An egregious foul. Everyone here knows I am team take a point for every single foul because this is literally not just the only sport, it is the only walk of life where cheating is not penalized. Where committing a foul in any other sport, game, activity, there is a punishment levied. Never happens in this sport. There is no price to pay for it, and that's infuriating. Really, really infuriating, Mike, when the ultimate end point of that actually would have been a draw, which would have felt better, even if I firmly believe Song Yadong was winning that fight. And oh, by the way, it's even weirder because Cejudo, like the people who were like Cejudo was looking for a way out, I think that certainly there's a piece of that. But also, if he was looking for a way out, he could have just said, I can't see right when the foul hurt. I can't compete. That's a no contest. Instead, because he finished out the round, now it's a loss. And again, there is an argument that it shouldn't be a loss, that should go to or that should be a TKO loss, that Jason Terzark still just made up some rules. Every piece of this, top to bottom, was handled poorly in a rule set that is poor and that is enforced like Bozo the Clown is in charge of this shit. I am so tired of it. It is not hard to figure out how to do this, and we just keep kicking our dicks in over the same thing over and over again.
It's wild how people used to get so mad at us 5 years ago when we used to just tell fighters, just cheat. Just go ahead and cheat. Any chance you get, just cheat. And people used to get so mad at us. Oh, how dare you talk about the sanctity of this great sport of ours. Let's have a little respect for it. Do you, and now like you go through Twitter after this stuff happens and you see everybody saying what we've been saying for 5 years. And it's actually a little more frustrating now. Like at first it was a badge of honor, but now it's just so annoying. Like I, it, it's crazy, all of this. And unfortunately the fight ends the way that it did. And Song looked real good. I thought he won all 3 rounds. Cejudo was competitive, and Cejudo is always going to be competitive. He looked 38 in there. Plain and simple. He looked 38. But still, a 38-year-old Henry Cejudo is better than a lot of bantamweights. He still hits hard. He's still very athletic in there. He still feints very well. He makes you bite a little bit. But he looked very telegraphed in there. You could see everything he was throwing from a mile away. Song was starting to pick up on it. Sure, Cejudo was landing his shots, but this is just a shitty way to end this fight. So now they may just run this back. Like Song wants to run it back, and if I'm Song, of course I want to run this one back. He was doing so damn good in the fight. If you're Henry Cejudo, do you run this back? Like, do you want to see this again after what just happened tonight?
No, he seems up to doing it. I think that would be bad. I don't know. Mike, I want to read the rules because there
Please.
are two subsections of under injury sustained by fair blows and fouls. And there are two different headers here, which is why this gets confusing because depending on how you read this, open to interpretation of how this was handled. Subsection A, if an injury sustained during the competition as a result of a legal maneuver is severe enough to terminate a bout, the injured contestant loses by technical knockout. I mean, that sort of presumes that the other opposite is not true, but that's how a TKO results. A legal maneuver does it. But you drive on down here to sections F and G, the accidental fouls, basically. And so let's go with F. If an injury sustained during competition as a result of an accidental foul is determined by the referee is severe enough for the referee to stop the bout immediately, the bout shall result in a no contest if stopped before 2 rounds have been completed in a 3-round bout, or stopped before 3 rounds have been completed in a 5-round bout. Now, the presence of the word immediately suggests that by restarting the fight, that is no longer clear. And so thus this Henry Cejudo did not answer the bell for the fourth or could not because of impaired vision. And I don't know how to handle that because, on the one hand, by restarting the bout, we are acknowledging that he is fit to continue. But pretty obviously, he was not fit to continue for the fourth round because he could not see, and very clearly his inability to see came from an illegal blow. I don't know how, honestly, that's supposed to be handled. I do know it's not supposed to be handled by, I'm going to start the fourth round and then pause the action, and I'm going to go tell Song Yadong that I'm going to start the fourth. Like, that was weird as shit, but like, I don't know. I honestly don't know how that's supposed to be handled because these are open ended. And that is just part of the problem of all of this. But ultimately, either way that goes, that just changed it from being a TKO to going to the cards and decision for Song. The egregious part here is fouling. And there is like, I'm too old now to be like, I'm going to focus my life to get in the UFC and prove a point. I hope I just hit the lotto so I can pay some random Contender Series signee a buttload of money and be like, hey, I will give you $100,000 if you go in and actively cheat as hard as you can. I just want to see where the line is. Every strike you throw is this, like Three Stooges style, in the eyes. You don't throw any kicks that aren't field goal punts right up the middle. And I want you to see how long it takes before they do something about you, because I don't think it'll happen. They are terrified to affect the outcome of the fight, and it is just so infuriating. Give me 10 minutes with any referee and I will berate them into being better at their fucking jobs because I cannot keep doing this. It is just so dumb that we have this conversation, Mike, 8, 10 times a year in post shows. Like, oh, here we are again. The
Or
dumb thing keeps happening because it's going to keep
yeah,
happening forever because that's how incentives work. If there is no punishment, no one will change.
yeah, and it's not going to because the referees have said it publicly, and Brendan Fitzgerald said it on the broadcast as well. A referee, especially these UFC refs, especially the ones you know and see and cheer for when they say their name, they're the ones that do not want to be involved. They don't want to be in the headlines. They don't want to be the reason that a fighter loses half of their paycheck. Sorry, man. Like, that's your job. That is your job. And it's just crazy.
Don't
So
make me
this
enforce
is,
the rules.
oh my
Honestly,
God, yeah.
maybe the most infuriating part is that I think Jason Herzog is the best ref in MMA. Like, I think he's been the best ref in MMA for some time, and he was terrible tonight. Like, in the previous fight when he's like, all right, you poked him in the eyes and he kicked you in the balls, so you guys are even now. No, that's no, like, what, come on, man. Just grow a pair. Reach down with the fleshy patch where your testicles should be and grow up. Do your job. It is in the rules that it is to your discretion. There is no people fans in this sport, Mike, have taken the idea that damage is all that matters. Like, doesn't matter if you get on top for 4 minutes and 50 seconds. If they land two punches and you land none, you win the round because damage. People will die on that hill, which is an insane argument, but at least has a foundation in the written rules of like, you are supposed to prioritize that. There is not a single word in the rules that says the referee should really try not to take points. It is up to the discretion of the referee whether a point affects a fighter's ability to win. If you give me another few minutes, I'll find it out. But it is like I'll find the exact terminology. But it is entirely the referee's discretion, and the referees have together just decided our discretion is never, never, unless you do it 18 times in a fight, never, and that's insane.
It is. You remember the days where this is like back in 2000? Remember Steve Mazzagatti, who like Dana used to just absolutely destroy at these press conferences? You know who would have taken points tonight? Steve Mazzagatti would have taken points tonight because Steve Mazzagatti loved to take points. Remember Brock Lesnar's UFC debut? He is thumping up Frank Mir something proper, just obliterating him with hammer fists after dropping him, just hitting him over and over again. And then Mazzagatti takes a point, and then Frank Mir ends up tapping him. People are like, "Oh, how dare he take a point?" But that's just like that's sports. It's just the way that it is, and it's unfortunate that the way that the fight ended the way that it did. And to Herzog's credit, and I guess maybe he did this to make the on-paper viewing of what this fight looks like to people who go back to Tapology and Wikipedia 2 years from now, that it says tech decision instead of a TKO, starts the fourth round to maybe soften the blow for Henry Cejudo. Maybe he's doing him some sort of favor. Kind of silly, but I think that's possibly what he did. And in the end, if Cejudo just said in round two, like, I can't go, I can't see, I'm done, it's a no contest. And it's not a loss for Henry, who's now 0-3 since returning to the UFC. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go, because Dana White, I don't know if he's still at the press conference, he was asked about this, said he has no interest at all in rebooking this fight, and it doesn't look like they're going to run it back. So there you go.
You should not do it. I pulled up. I've got two very quick things from the rules about assessment of fouls, because there's only one clear piece where it says the referee does it, and it's in talking of fouls, and it's only a referee can assess a foul. If the referee does not call the foul, judges can't. So we know that the referee is the arbiter of whether a foul happens. Fouls may result in a point being deducted by the official scorekeeper from the offending contestant's score. Scorekeeper, not the judge, is responsible. And the referee can assess a foul and deduct points if the referee deems it appropriate. That's the only specific language. There's also other language later on about how to handle appropriate fouls or whatever. And the short arm is, if the combatant's chance of winning has not been seriously jeopardized as a result. It's about a different section, but that does sort of presume that seriously jeopardizing your chances of winning a fight actually is a qualifying measure, which I would say that if you can't fucking see, that seriously jeopardizes your chance of winning a fight. This, like, just, if the referees are so hesitant to do that, like, to just do their jobs as is they're afforded, I would love a commission to be like, okay, we are going to codify this very clearly. And that's why I have always been on the opinion that it just take a point for everything. It takes the ambiguity out. If the foul is intentional, if you deem it to be an intentional foul, to DQ, and if it is an accidental foul, take a point, because you are in charge of your own weapons. That's how that goes. And that would take all the ambiguity out. And instead, we're having the same conversation, Mike, that we've had. I've honestly lost count. Like, we're just here again, and we shouldn't be, because honestly, this fight wasn't competitive. Like, there's no reason for us to be mired in this. Song Yadong was beating the tar out of Henry Cejudo and probably would have been well on his way to doing it, but for this happening. And so now we're here. If Dana says he's not interested, I don't agree with Dana all the time. Absolutely agree with him this time. No need to run that back. If Cejudo wants to fight again, book him against Jose Aldo, and Song can do whatever else, fight Umar. That's fine.
We have bonuses, Jed. Have you seen these yet?
I'm not.
All right. We have I thought this was going to be an all performance night. It was not. We do have a fight of the night. So 2 performances and a fight of the night.
That's interesting. John Silva is getting a performance of the night bonus. I feel a level of confidence in that, because if he doesn't, I'll be upset.
I mean, I feel like the performances are obvious.
I mean, there were a lot of other really good ones, but you've got to go Ricky Simone, right? The
Yep.
Javid Basharat deading. One man got absolutely sent to the Shadow Realm, and one man got disrespectfully sent to the Shadow Realm of, he's dead. Hey, Jason, you seriously want me to hit him again, Jason? Okay.
No, it was Kevin McDonald.
Oh, it was Kevin McDonald. Sorry. It's like, you really want this? Whack, 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 whack. Just stomped him out, elbows to the ribs. So those two, if you're telling, if you had not given me that, I would have absolutely said that we were talking for performance bonuses and thrown it somewhere else. If you're giving me fight of the night, I'm going to assume it's Rob Font, John Matsumoto.
No.
Oh, did we go co-main event then? Because I know
we did not. Oh, yes, we did. Oh, yes, they did.
No.
Yes.
That's
Alonzo Menafield versus Julius Walker is the fight of the night. I'm not lying.
You're telling.
I really wish I was. I thought it was like from a fake account.
That cannot be correct.
It's correct.
Why did you even tell me that? Now I'm even angrier than I was when we started the show.
I was gonna say, like, you must be like super infuriated now.
Dude, that fight was the worst fight on the card. I don't think that's even like a hot take. That was a miserable fight. The co-main event was super fun, and the
Yeah,
Rob Font Matsumoto fight was dope.
I was just making sure. I'm just making sure like multiple media members posted this. Uh, Nolan King, who I respect, love the man. That's who I saw it from. And then I went and looked at Aaron Broadsetter, who watches the Dana scrums and like gives you all the notes. And he also confirmed this news that Menafield versus Walker is the fight of the night. That is fucking crazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That legitimately may be one of the worst things I've seen in this sport. I,
Wild.
Truly the worst fight on the card. I do not have an idea what. Like, I need someone to ask Dana why. True, like honestly, like not even trying to be a dick. Like I would just be like, Dana, I am legitimately just confused. Why did you award fight of the night to the worst fight on the card by a lot? That is
Jesus.
insane, dude.
Let's go to the peeps. Let's see
I
what
don't
the
even know
peeps
how
are
to react to
saying.
that. That was freaking nuts.
What a night! Like it just ended in such a sour way. How do you give? How do you give that fight? The fight of the night. I'm sorry. What is it because of Menafield ripping his foot apart? That's just like, all right. That was so disgustingly nasty. Here's a bonus because that fight was just not good. I mean, I don't know.
But did they break the all-time gate record? That's what we got to find out.
Probably.
All time game record.
I don't know, for Seattle, I
Hold
guess,
on.
or
I'm gonna look.
for fight nights in February.
I
uh,
don't understand.
attendance 18,287. The gate was 3.84 million. The largest gate for a UFC fight night in North American history. UFC Seattle.
That's all I'm here for.
Just shattering records, baby. Just shattering them.
Dude, the commentary team was talking about how that fight was bad. These guys are both gassed out. Like, I need somebody to explain that one. Like, I good for Minifield and Walker getting 50K. I get that is nuts. Hernandez
I
Allen
don't.
was a great fight. It was a
Yeah,
great fight.
we were talking like I was like, I love this fight. This is like I wanted to see a fight like that, and I got it. And yeah,
I man,
Apparently, this Dana scrum is just not good, anyways. Just
you
the
guys going back
questions
to
are
Seattle?
horrific,
When you guys
real
coming back
bad.
to Seattle?
credit to Dana.
Apparently, somebody asked when Carlos if there's going to be a fight book for Carlos Pracha soon, when he just literally announced his fight 3 days ago with this massive announcement on top of massive announcements. This is this is bizarro world.
Honestly, maybe this is just big brain Dana. He knows that everyone's going to be just livid about the main event and talking about all of that nonsense, and so we'll do this fight of the night. Now people will be too befuddled to even be angry. They'll just be confused. Because that's where I'm at. I can't even be mad anymore. I'm just like, what is happening? What was today? It started off so great with 7 finishes and 7 fights.
Oh, I was about to kind of we were kind of getting like, is this like one of the most like kind of out of nowhere great cards ever? Because we were just getting finish after finish after finish.
We were headed in that direction. Those are the best
And,
prelims in a
and
long
then
time.
and then Casey, apparently we got 7 finishes and the best fight of the night.
Yeah.
So I would have said that
I
that
do
was when
not.
the card went
I
down,
do.
but
I don't
apparently
even
not.
remember that fight night. I think I watched one round. And I was like, you know, what? I'm gonna make a sandwich and just have this on in the background. And then I didn't even bother. Like usually I go, hey, I look up highlights. I was like, I got the gist of it.
The first
Wow.
round was the best round, and it was
Gassed
Julius
for me.
Walker trying to take Alonzo Menafield down for 4.5 minutes, and then they exchanged shots towards the end of the round, and then like the rest of the fight was the same, and then there was an exchange at the end of the third round. Like that was pretty much it. Font Matsumoto was clearly the best fight of the night.
Yeah,
And if you want to give it to Fluffy Hernandez and Brendan
Either one.
Allen, I wouldn't hate that either.
Yeah.
But it was just let's go to the peeps.
I got nothing, guys.
I got nothing.
This night turned real weird. I was like, early on, I was like, cool, this is going to be a good post show. Got a lot of fun things to talk about. Several of my boys did really well tonight. Hell yeah. Sick. And then it was just like, okay, let's get weird with it.
Is Gian Silva the MVP of this card?
Gian Silva's the MVP of every fight card that he attends. He is the man. I am so happy that I immediately adopted him, and he has done nothing but make me look like a genius from day one. It's just like, yeah, I love this guy on Contender Series, and he has just been like the shit ever since.
He did the thing across the board.
Sick.
The call out of Bryce Mitchell was fucking brilliant. And if I'm Bryce Mitchell, and I know Bryce responded on Twitter, I ain't going near this guy. I am staying far away. You shouldn't even have responded. That's gonna get real bad.
Bryce is actually a very smart guy. Y'all just don't know.
Hey, Bryce.
Per his own social media.
Bryce, run to the edge of the world and jump off to avoid this fight. Just jump off the edge of the world to get out.
That's a bad idea for Bryce Mitchell.
That was easily I'm glad Silva at least got his bonus because it was easily the best part of the night. And some of that is, yes, Lord is my boy. But him just being like, I'm going to kill him if you make me hit him again. Are you and asked him twice. He checked twice really? Okay. Wham! It's like, that's sick. It's awesome.
Like there's going to be a poster made of Gian Silva asking the referee, like smiling at him, being like, "You really want me to do this right now?" As Melzik Baghdasaryan is like trying to figure out where he is in life, and the referee just like, "Yeah, man, go."
And then he was so nice. He only punched him once in the head, and then he just started 12-6 elbowing him in the guts.
Oh, that is so nasty.
You want to have a concussion and piss blood tomorrow? Thank Kevin McDonald or whatever.
Shout out New England. New England's best referee. All right.
I just want to point out, because I was complaining earlier. This is the only thing I'm going to add to that. Bisping complaining is like, what is Gian Silva like shaking hands of his opponent and being happy in there? And then he has the most spectacular knockout of the card. Dude, just let fighters be who they are. Just let them be who they are. If they're happy, smiley guys when they fight, let them be happy, smiley guys. It was just weird.
Yeah, and then first of all, I thought the commentary was tough tonight.
It was bad.
Them spending 3.5 minutes talking about the Rob Font thing was just a little overkill, in my opinion. Like, come on, who gives a shit? Like, mention it, talk about it for a minute, fine. But don't spend the entirety of the first round talking about, and then getting into like a awkward argument about it. It's just like Paul Felder's trying to end it. He's just like, all right, let's move on. And Bisping just throws in another thing, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ! And by the way, now Michael Bisping is advocating for points being taken. What world are we living in? Because this is a guy who never wants points being taken. Oh no, they shouldn't take a point. And we always come on these shows and we're like, oh, Michael Bisping says we shouldn't have taken a point. And it was ridiculous. And now he's the advocate for point taking. What is happening here? All right, now let's go.
All right. We got some super chats. We'll fly through these. Thank you everyone for super chatting, but it's going to be a short show.
We had the boxing card, so we're kind of short stuff right now. What'd you think of Fluffy's performance? RS40 asks, is Cannoneer next for him? Also, Gian Silva called for Bryce Mitchell. Does the UFC want to see Bryce get murdered again? Grade Fluffy Hernandez's performance, Jed Mishu.
I was really impressed. I thought he was going to win, and I thought it could look like that, only a little different, right? I thought he would lose the first round because Fluffy loses a lot of first rounds. I didn't think he'd lose that way. He made a real boneheaded move and let Brendan Allen get on top, and Brendan Allen really put the screws on him in that first round. But Fluffy's Fluffy. You got to get him. You got to kill him to get him out of there. Brendan Allen didn't, and so in rounds 2 and 3, he fluffied all over him. Right, like he still had some moments. Brendan Allen hung real tough Came out strong in that third round. I think over if we got 10 more minutes, it would have been a little like undeniable. I thought it was obviously very clear cut already, but Fluffy was just going to put more distance between him the longer that fight went. But overcoming like that pretty tough first round for him, I still have questions sort of about the deficiencies in his game. I just didn't think Brendan Allen was a person to really test those, and ultimately he wasn't. He can't strike like almost at all, but he kind of doesn't need to. He knows what he does. He is middleweight Marab, and Marab's the best bantamweight on earth and maybe the best bantamweight ever. So that's not a bad place to be, considering middleweight is a much worse division than bantamweight is. So good performance, honestly, very good performance from Brendan Allen as well. Hung a lot tougher than I thought. Was very competitive. That's just one of those good fights between two dudes who are top 10, 15 in the world, and really fun. Like it was one of my favorite fights to watch. Probably my favorite fight on the whole card because the scrambles were sick. The pace was high. Like we were just getting great grappling, and I really enjoyed that.
I will tell you why I was so impressed with Anthony Hernandez tonight, because I thought he had an off night. I really did. To the point where I actually texted one of his teammates that he trains with regularly, and I was I think it was like midway through the second round, and I was like, "Is he okay? He just doesn't like. He seems like himself in some ways, but not like the guy we've seen in like the last 4 fights." I was like, "Is he all right?" And I was basically told like, "I'm not going to say anything. He might after the fight." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because the weight cut was pretty bad.
Antibiotics,
and it was. Yeah, he had a rib injury. He got sick. He was on antibiotics, and I guess like he just got off antibiotics, like not that long ago. So it really affected the weight cut, and he had a bad night at the office in like fluffy standards, and still beat Brendan Allen, and it was a clear cut win. Like that, it's not the performances where you just go out there and like him just dusting up Pereira was really impressive to me. But sometimes when you have an off night and you don't have your fastball and you still win against a tough competitor, like sometimes those are the things that impress me the most. Like when you have an off night, you can still find a way to win. Brendan Allen is a damn good fighter in this division. Anthony, even not being fully there and fully at his best, dude's an absolute scrapper. And there's very few. There might be 2 guys in this division who can win a fight like that against Anthony Hernandez. Dricus du Plessis is one of them, in my opinion. But still, he won. So that's why I was impressed. So solid. And I don't think it's Cannonier next for him. He may get that, but I wouldn't do that.
And you can tune in tomorrow for on to the next one to hear what Mike thinks he will get next.
It's one of 2 guys. I haven't landed on it yet. And it's either Robert Whittaker or Sean Strickland. That's who I would give him next.
You know what sucks? I have a feeling the UFC didn't like Fluffy's performance tonight.
They almost certainly did not. They didn't give him fight of the night. They gave it to Alonzo goddamn Minifield. So I have to assume that they didn't like it because they gave it to Alonzo goddamn Minifield.
How do these guys they're in this sport for so dang long. They have the best seats in the house, and they go, nah, I don't like that. Okay, moving on. Sorry. All right,
that's the thing. Dana White knows fights. Like, for whatever, like he
knows grappling too. Like he does know grappling.
Like, I just want to be like, dude, how is Minifield Walker the fight of the night? Like, what possible metrics other than tiredness is this the fight of the night?
Oh my god, Jesus!
All right, super chat from Justin Cash.
Justin, Gian Silver's a monster. He sure is.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, I'll back him forever because he's my boy, and you stand with your people, or else you ain't nothing yourself. Shout out Bodie. Bryce Mitchell is a tough ass fight for him, man. Bryce Mitchell, as dumb as a bag of rocks. Like, but you know what? The thing about bag of rocks, it's really hard to knock out bags of rocks. It can be done. Josh Emmett almost killed a bag of rocks, which is pretty impressive. But he is historically been very durable, and John Silva is not a big featherweight. Like he packs a lot of power, but I mean he was giving up size to Melsick in there. Bryce Mitchell is probably going to be bigger, and like, Charles Jourdain took John Silva down a bunch of times. Like Bryce Mitchell, like that is a tough fight for him. It's a great fight for him as well, and certainly if he wins, he gets the ranking, etc. But I would not just go counting Bryce Mitchell as a dead man if they book
Oh,
that, despite the fact
I
that
don't
I
think
think
you're
he
gonna
was a
book it.
monster.
I loved the call out. Like it was perfectly timed. Apparently, it was like mistranslated. He was basically saying, "Hey Dana, if you want me to give this man a history lesson, essentially, like let's do it." So I love the call out. And I said this on to the next one last week, and I'm going to stick with it. John Silva's about to fight Yusuf Salal for the number 12 spot. That's what he's going to get in this fight. Because I don't think Yusuf's going to get. I don't think Yusuf's going to get a big step up after his performance against Calvin Kattar. Incredibly forgettable.
That'd be fun as hell, though. That fight would be fun.
And that's a great fight. Yeah. So yeah, Gian's going to get a ranked guy, and UFC is just going to throw those two dudes in, and we'll see what they have. That's how I think they'll do it.
So I don't think they'll do this, but I do want to shout out Caposa because he threw this fight out on Twitter, and it probably doesn't even make that much sense, and I don't care because I want to see it. Duho Choi and John Silva just inject that directly into my veins. Korean
That's who I want to
Superboy and
see. Yeah,
John Silva would just be anarchy.
that's who I want to see fight Bryce Mitchell is Duho Choi.
I don't hate that either.
Yeah, there's
yeah. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, I don't want Bryce Mitchell to fight." The UFC didn't cut him, so sorry, Bryce Mitchell will make another payday at some point in the UFC. So,
oh yeah,
this is how we are, people. Yeah,
Bryce
get,
can be fight. Bryce can be fighting in the UFC 7 years from now.
That's the thing. I don't want him to fight Bryce Mitchell because then I have to watch a Bryce Mitchell fight, and I do not want to watch a Bryce Mitchell fight. But I want to watch John Silva fight because that's my boy, and so I don't want that fight to get booked. I do think that fight would make a lot of sense, but I hope they do not.
What a difference a couple of months make. Remember the preview show for UFC 310? How excited you were for Bryce Mitchell's fight with Cron Gracie?
Oh yeah, because that was the dumbest fight in history. And actually, legitimately,
literally the dumbest fight. Yeah, man.
The Flat Earther Bowl is looking smarter and smarter.
Just run it back. Run it back with those guys.
Yeah, just keep doing it. I don't care.
Just get Cron Gracie in Bryce's next YouTube or Instagram video with a piece of paper explaining how we are actually not a heliocentric society. It's like, good dude, they literally solved this 2,000 years ago. You have the internet and can't figure this out. What is wrong with you?
Spencer, Gian Silva, a little tense, ball of hell. Thought just fun addition to lightweight, but realizing a problem on feet for everyone and has star aura. How far can he go? I mean, he can fight if
featherweight, but
I mean, he did recently. Yeah.
But
how far can he go, Jed?
Probably not for the belt. But like, I don't. He to me does not read like championship guy. He reads like super fun dude who's in the top 10 for a long time, which is honestly like a friend. Like, dude, put Gian Silva and Diego Lopez in a freaking fight together and watch, like, because I care way more about you being fun and awesome as opposed to being like great and awesome. And thus far, everything I've watched Gian Silva is like, yeah, man, you're going to. It will be worth my time to watch you fight every time out. And so I would, like, if I'm ballparking it, he's not going to win the belt. Top 5 is probably the ceiling, but wherever he ends up landing, he will just be fun as hell, which is super important.
all right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see him. But yeah, who knows? Featherweight's wide open now. It's a weird division, and you can leap up those ranks very quickly. John, Jed, how can a by points bet for Fluffy plus 115 have such better odds than Moneyline minus 330? Your GP article didn't give any point spread / no finish info. Fluffy.
It's a.
Oh, because was he 5.5 or 3.5?
Uh,
Minus 3.5.
I don't know. FanDuel did not have any of that up, and we use FanDuel, and so I was for the article. I was restricted to using FanDuel. I have no idea. I would guess that he was 3.5, but maybe
Yeah, it's
five
probably
and a half
minus three and a
for
half.
DraftKings. It would have
Yeah.
been something like that. I There's a reason I bet on Fluffy by points at plus money. I thought that that was by far the most likely outcome to this fight in a 3 round fight. That being said, if you do look at his like most of his wins on this now 7 fight win streak, I think 5 or 6 of these 7 wins have been by stoppage, even though they're in 3 round fights. Like he's getting late stoppages in second and third round. I just have a lot of respect for who Brendan Allen is as a fighter. I thought it was an incredibly good value to get Fluffy by points. And after the first round, I thought, oh shit, I was wrong. I'm going to lose this bet. And then Fluffy fluffied. So I hope you followed along with that. I don't actually know how I did the rest of the night. I have to go back and look at all my wagers. The Mean Gene parlay failed, which was devastating for me, but so it goes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. This one should enrage you guys.
Oh, good. I haven't been angry enough today.
Fahim, Dana saying Aldo and O'Malley want to fight. That's the fight.
I,
Yeah,
Listen,
it doesn't
this is the
enrage
one
me.
I
They've been
wanted.
no,
both have
okay.
been called for
Is
that
it
fight.
okay? You're happy
Yeah,
I
with
this
that
is
one?
the
don't
fight.
want it. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also, if they're going to actually make Sean O'Malley fight instead of just giving him another crack at Marab, somehow justice keeps winning, and if Aldo wins that fight, Aldo can get another crack at Marab, and he's the only person Marab hasn't taken down. Suck it. So it's wouldn't be my choice. I am fully on the. I don't care if Jose Aldo fights for a belt. He should just fight other old dudes, but he is not of that opinion. So it's a fine fight.
Okay. I thought we're kind of committed to the Aldo Cejudo thing, but we
I,
can.
that is where I. That is what I would like. I mean, I wanted Aldo freaking Cruz, and now I really want Aldo Pitbull, but those don't appear to be happening. So I think you're giving Aldo a chance to fight for a belt with one win. I'm in.
All right, fair. Super chat from RS40.
Is Costa a player
Featherweight.
at featherweight? Yeah, he beat Feliz. Oh yeah, Melchizedek.
Yeah.
I forgot that fight even happened with
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
so-
shit that
so
has
many
transpired
things.
over the last couple hours.
He did beat
Uh,
him easily.
Dude, that was a nasty gilly. And at first, like when he put it on, I'm like, okay, he's just using this to like run out the rest of the round. Just because he looked so calm, he didn't even look like he was trying. It was just so sick. And then Feely started to like waver, and then he tapped.
Feely did the thumb up.
Yeah.
I'm good, and then
Thumb
yeah,
up
Arm
into
in, everything. It was so nice. And then just got him.
textbook.
Just did the thing.
Feely
Is he a
initiated
player
the
though? Do you
takedown.
look at him after tonight and say, okay, we forget Gian Silva. It's Bocasio Costa's division.
players a question. He is still young. He's like 28, so he's coming off a couple of good wins now. I think he's a guy who can be around, and if he keeps improving, because he is getting better, maybe. I don't think he's a player if you're talking a guy who will ever fight for a title. No. But like guy who can maybe make his way into the top 15, have some big important fights. I think that's in play. I maybe wouldn't pick that because like he's lost to some good guys. He's lost to the best guys he's fought. And for as much as we like Andre Feely, I don't think people think of him as like a truly top tier featherweight. But fun guy. And again, being fun is like half the battle to people caring about you.
I mean, there's sort of a step-by-step process to this division. You beat Andre Feely, then you fight Bruce Leroy. You beat Bruce Leroy, then you get a Dan Ige. It's kind of where you're at. So, yeah, I'd maybe give him Bruce Leroy, and let's see what he can do.
Thank you much. Super chat from Spencer.
Jed, surprised you only have Cejudo like top 50 male pound for pound. I have him around number 20 all time. Wins over DJ, TJ, and Cruz all time fighters, and one of the few to defend at two weights.
I don't know where I actually have him. I threw out top 50 because I'm certain he's in the top 50 best fighters of all time. I would be pretty surprised if I thought he was in the top 20 best fighters of all time. Um, for the reasons of context. One, his career was pretty short, right? Like he retired at the peak of his powers. He's now lost three in a row. Yes, he defended both belts at both weight classes. I would say both of those defenses are questionable. Like he defended against TJ, who has never fought at flyweight before or since, and looked dead making the weight. And then he defended against Dominic Cruz, who didn't really deserve to fight for the belt at that point in time. Like, just he doesn't have a long. I to this day do not believe he beat Demetrius Johnson in their rematch. Like
Agreed.
he accomplished much, and so you have to give him credit for that. But he did not accomplish much over a long period of time, and so it really hurts his case. Like Dan Henderson has a better MMA career than Henry Cejudo, no question, absolutely no question about that. And if you don't think so, it most likely just means that you weren't around for Dan Henderson's run and what he did over a long period of time across multiple weight classes and the best fighters in the sport for years on end. So like there are just a lot of dudes like that who they don't get the same shine because they weren't simultaneous champs or whatever, but did have a better career. And so I'm certain Cejudo's in the top 50. I'd have to really piece out exactly where it is. I'd be pretty shocked if he was in my top 20 though. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
impossible, just unlikely. Because the top 10 is
Yeah,
pretty much locked up.
Yeah. Top 50
agreed.
sounds about right. Thank you,
Yeah,
Spencer.
yeah. You get all nitpicky towards the stretch. It's like
He's got a lot of
you talk
losses.
about the Usmans, the Holloways, the Frankie Edgars, the
All better,
Charles Oliveras,
better.
and then we look at the Chucks, the Tito's, obviously the Shoguns that we
Yeah.
people will forget about in these conversations.
The
At
Fedors.
a very baseline level, Henry Cejudo's MMA record, and I think people also sort of conflate adding the gold medal in there because it's such an incredible accomplishment. At a very baseline, Henry Cejudo has 21 MMA fights, and he lost five of those. And like we're the last three of them, we really aren't. That's not even part of the conversation. So he has 18 MMA fights. That's just not a lot of fights to be like one of the 20 best fighters who has ever lived.
To put that into context, Song Yadong is 11 years younger than him. He has more pro fights, the same amount of UFC fights, and he has one more UFC win than Henry Cejudo has.
Yeah,
That's
like
insane.
if you want to talk about like peaks or like best as opposed to greatness as a term of accomplishment, yeah, like there are some arguments there, but I he 20 like 18 fights of matter like that matter, and that's not even because he came into the UFC at like 5-0. So we're really talking about like 12 fights that matter in his career. That is a very small margin.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, remember when you would turn your DVD player on, but there was like
Yeah.
no DVD in it. I thought Jed's like was just gonna bounce up and down, and I was hoping he would just land in the corner somewhere. Oh my
We
That
all
god,
would,
that would
cheer
that
when
would
he
have
hits
been
the corner.
fire.
yeah.
I don't know what button I pushed. All right.
Any more
Thank you,
super
Spencer.
chats?
A couple more, but just kind
Yeah.
of fun ones off topic. But
MMA fighting, great website, Pacaporta. We have to add Mitch
Steven.
Raposo to the
Thanks,
horn
Steven.
listing. Thank you, Steven.
Thank you, Steven. And our last super chat, also from Steven.
Boys, Mr. Bashu, you got a shout out on MMA on Point. How's your relationship with them? Love to see Luke or Tommy Tohold on BTL. You got a shout out on MMA on Point.
I didn't know that. Shout out to the MMA on Point boys. I've always had a pretty good relationship with them for dating back for several years. Like they're good dudes and they do good work. Like I respect a lot of what they're doing. I've Tommy Tohold is great. So glad to hear it. I got no when we were talking earlier this week about like who do you have beef with? I ain't got no beef with the MMA on Point folk.
All right.
I
And oh, sorry.
yeah, I forget. Jason Hartley's been on
Jason.
BTL before. Not this iteration of BTL, but the old iteration of BTL.
I met them a few years back. Nice dudes, doing something different. Good on them. No hate.
Yep.
No hate. And just a quick, just to wrap things up.
Metafield Walker winning fight of the night is the most insane thing to happen tonight. I still cannot believe that one. I truly can't believe it.
What?
Honestly, you did it wrong. You should have been like, instead of telling me, you should have just been like, keep guessing and made me go down because it would have been the actual last fight I picked.
But you said like you said it. You were like, it can't be Metafield versus Walker, and then like the poker face just gave it away. Like if you said like if I'm holding pocket aces and there's an ace on the board and you're like, oh, you have trip aces, like you'd be able to probably see it on my face that I do have trip aces.
Absolutely.
Like I can't hold it much longer at that point.
Like Ketlin Vieira and Chazon had a better shot of winning this. I felt like they weren't on the card. So
dude, Curtis Blades and Rizvan would have had a better chance of getting fight of the night.
Not even being on the card, they deserved it more. I mean,
I honestly can't believe, and genuinely, not even that the other fights deserved it more. It would just made a way more sense to just do 4 bonuses. Like
there were great submissions. We didn't even talk about Ian Cutelaba had a great submission, his first submission of his career or something like that, and he had a great promo. He actually had a promo. It was wild.
Yeah, grappling is good now.
He got nothing. He got nothing from the UFC. Like, what is going on? Austin Vanderford got a finish, right? Then and we didn't even talk about Austin Vanderford. Yeah,
good matchmaking. Rudzabayev gets a knockout.
Modestas, yeah.
Mansour Abdul Malik almost dies and then comes back and wins. Nick Klein landed the spinning back elbow from hell, and Mansour just eats it. At that point, I was just like, okay, there's no way Mansour loses this fight now.
He also Tim Boached him, which was my favorite because I'm also a big Mansour guy. And in the second round, he just threw him to it was not a takedown. He just said, "Sit down." Like that. Tim Boach used to be one of my favorite guys because redneck judo, he would just hurl human beings. And that's what Mansour was like, big brother, ha! And then that was the end of the fight functionally. Nick Klein was like, oh shit, this guy's real powerful. And then he got hit a bunch and died.
Yeah, you saw Nick Klein's soul leave his body at that moment.
He was tossed.
He was just done. He was just done at that point. Mansour is going to be fun, man. That guy's gonna be real fun to watch. He's green as freaking grass, but
needs a lifetime of development.
The foundation is there to be very, very fun. The UFC needs to not Edmund Shabazian him. They need to treat him with kid gloves, slow moves. Let's gradually build him.
He does not know how to fight yet. He needs to learn how to do that.
Yeah. He's just
but he can just debo people at the end and it's fall over. You're done.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. More work to be done in the back end. Dana White talked to the media. We'll have some stories coming from that. Just a weird, wacky night. It's been a weird year for the UFC thus far. Some bad cards, some not memorable cards. UFC 311 was great. If we're being honest, and I don't know if you guys saw what UFC Vegas 103 looks like.
It's terrible. It's maybe
good God Almighty. That is
really bad.
Yeah, that is a go get acupuncture card. Like, do anything you can. Like maybe schedule a colonoscopy for Saturday. I don't know. Get that done.
Safety first.
Drink the chalky liquid and get it done. But. Yeah, when we get to the colonoscopy talk, that means it's time to go. For Jen, it's for Casey. I am Ghost Savannah, Ghost Pirates. On to the next one tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.